All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. And you know, over the years, I've had Dr. Craig Walker on this program many, many times. It was one of my first interviews when HTV started way back in the 80s. He sat in an old wooden chair in an old wooden house on Dunn Street, and he had a dream. And that dream was to have quality care, not only in Houma, but Louisiana. Then it reached out regionally, and then it went across the world. He now speaks in China and other places overseas. What a great success story. The economic impact to this area is unbelievable. Well, we visited with him last week as they hosted a chamber event, and he shared, actually, he gave us a tour to start off about the 35 years, so we now take it from there.
All right, what we have here, Doc?
Well, we have a little bit of a history of Cardiovascular Institute of the South. So this is divided up into years, and you can see up here, this is the beginning, 1983. Today I was lucky enough, Krista DePlanas, who's one of our parish council people, brought me a letter I'd written to her father in 1982 while I was still at Harvard. Floyd, that's right. And here you see, we started, this was me when we first began, and our first clinic.
I interviewed you in that clinic, the blue house.
Bill Ladd. This was our first nuclear tech. He ultimately died in a motorcycle accident. This was big time when we moved into our bigger clinic. But if you come over here, you can see we were nothing but a bunch of kids with dreams. Look at Gary Chasson, Jody Stagg, Tommy. You can see young people. This was one of our Venezuelan patients early on. We, at one point, when Venezuela was more prosperous, had hundreds of patients coming to Houma, Louisiana from Venezuela for care. Here you can see as we move over, the very first employee of all of CIS, Mary Domang, number 1. Number 3 employee, Joanne Hidalgo. So these were early on. This is Junius King. Junius was our maintenance man. He was a wonderful guy. Junius would fix people's cars when they came to visit us, their flat tires, while we were seeing the patients. And here you can see we had already embraced new technologies, Trimedyne hot tip laser. We were doing things, and you can see all the 80s hairdos. So then we move on a little bit later, and some of the things, by this point, this was when I won the JC's Award, the National JC's Award. But you can see our team with their 80s hairdos, and including my sister Kay down here, our first Echo Tech. So you can see we were a group of young doctors with dreams, but that's really about what we had at that time. Here in the early 90s, we've started to expand. We're writing the cookbook with John Fultz. We're doing procedures, and we're being asked to teach procedures around the world. We're cutting a ribbon for our new clinic in Morgan City here. Here we're working in the cath lab with new procedures with doctors from around the world coming to learn what was the first procedure done in the whole world with this kind of device. And you can see a little thing talking about our newer labs and what we were doing. Now you can see we're getting a little older. Here we've moved into CT and angiography. We have Dr. Ali, and we're starting to teach people about peripheral vascular disease at conferences. Here I'm speaking to my sister-in-law's first grade class, trying to encourage them to learn science. Since then, we've done this. We've gone into the elementary schools, and our goal is to give children an idea that they here in our parish can become whatever they want, and can become scientists, can become astronauts if they want to.
Or become people like Craig Walker.
They need dreams. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes people suppress dreams. But I think it's our job to help people achieve those dreams. So we kept moving here. And here you can see, again, patients coming in from around the world. We've grown into the cardiothoracic surgery. Our group has grown, pioneering new leg procedures, some of which we really, I think, helped to change the world in terms of how these patients were treated, and the group is continuing to grow. we've moved over. Our Thibodeau Clinic moves into a new building. Again, Rick always looks young, Jody looks young, but you can see our group is growing all of the time, and it's really a big thing. Now, one of the things that was really huge was back here when I showed you us doing the first stents. There were only 5 centers in America approved for the coronary or the peripheral stent. We had them both in Houma, Louisiana, people coming from around the world. So again, we're growing. Now, David Knorr has moved in. He's a young CEO at this time, almost 20 years ago now. We're cutting more ribbons at various places we're moving. We brought a native person from Houma, Daryl Soleil, to run our practice in Morgan City. You can see that many of the incredible group of associates we have. Martin, we went from one cardiology provider and 1 nurse to right now 60 cardiologists, with many more near signing at this point. We should be pushing 70 cardiologists for sure by this time next year, making us the biggest private cardiology practice in America.
Let me ask you before you move on. When you were in the Blue House, and I was interviewing you years ago, how many patients did you see in your first week compared to now?
In my first week, I saw, I think, 11. Today, CIS, not me, but CIS saw almost 1,300 patients just today. Okay, it grew. Now, here again, we've grown a little further. We had ventured into family medicine. We brought on more associates, and you can get the feel for CIS growing over time. We go over into a much more modern era. And one thing that's obvious, we've all gained a little weight. Our hair's a little bit grayer, but you can see this is just a partners retreat that we've had. You can see my daughter, my wife, and James is just a little boy here, nice 10, and he's over here. But certainly, what this shows, and why I wanted to share this with you and with others, is we have really built something that's special. But it was not me, it's not a person, it's a group of people who had dreams, who never gave up on those dreams, who took those dreams and made them a reality. And there's so many people in here that did that. And you know, last night, Martin, as I thought about the 35 years, a tear rolled down my face, and my wife looked at me and said, "Craig, are you feeling sad?" I said, "No, I'm really not. I'm thinking back about how lucky I've been to have been associated with the kind of people that I was." Because this is ultimately the amalgamation of the dreams of many who work together to achieve what CIS is today. And it's my job to never let people forget that. It's my job to hopefully keep that same dream alive and to have everyone become what they can be.
But doesn't it make you feel good that these chambers, they have great meet and greets? But I always find that when CIS puts something together, there's a bigger crowd, people attend. I think they realize how important CIS is to the community.
I'm biased, of course. I think we're a very special organization. We have real commitment, deep commitment to our community. We have deep commitment to our patients. And frankly, I'm proud of what we are. And you know what I'm more proud of, Martin? My mom is not alive today, but my mother, people ask me, why Houma, why this? And the answer is one word, Mama. Mama said, "I want you to come back. I miss my boy." And I think it says a lot about our culture, because Mama means a lot to all of us. Daddy means a lot to all of us. We are a culture of family. And I would give anything for my mom to be here today. I know what she would say. I always expected it. But you know what? I also know she'd be wearing a big smile.
Something tells me she is here today. How about that?
I think you're right.
Let me ask you, but you know, when you look at it, I always ask this question to somebody when they're talking about a company or a person. I always say, where would Houma be without Dr. Craig Walker or CIS? But now, I got to change that question. The world, you're on the world stage now. You're talking in China. Your Cardiovascular Horizons convention is getting bigger and bigger. Houma's the base, but it's getting pretty big.
Houma is the base, and Houma will remain the base. Houma's an important part, it's where our roots are. But our limbs have spread pretty far, you're right. In China right now, there was an awareness survey that was done about practices in America, and Cardiovascular Institute of the South was one of the top names. So we think of all the big places in America, and when they think of that, Cardiovascular Institute of the South is held in a line with those really big names. I'm very proud of that as a single specialty group.
Well, congratulations. I know you got to give a talk in a little while, and they got a big crowd. We appreciate you giving us a tour, although I've been around for most of it. It's still nice to see how it all came together.
You have. You know, Martin, you have always, also I think being a local guy, understood the importance of homegrown and what can happen here. And I think you've also aspired to help our young dream to achieve big things. It would have been very possible for me to go other places. In fact, they had more infrastructure set up, they had other things. We really do have to inspire young to want to come back and to realize that they can achieve whatever they want here. And you've been a great part of doing that, and I appreciate it.
All right, there you saw the tour part of our feature on CIS. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear from David Knurr, the CEO of CIS, as well as Dr. Walker again as he addressed the crowd that gathered at CIS. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.